So let's discuss about the electromagnetic induction. So electromagnetic induction is one of the most important discoveries ever made, because electromagnetic induction is the reason behind the production of the electric field or the electricity whenever we want. So before starting electromagnetic induction, we need to understand one thing. We know that charge can be either at rest or in motion. Okay, charge can be at rest or it can be in motion. So when the charge is at rest, only electric field is generated. When the charge is at rest, only electric field is generated, and when the charge is moving, then electric and magnetic field both are generated. Now motion can be uniform or non-uniform. So in non-uniform in uniform motion, the constant electric and magnetic fields are generated. Okay, but let's say the electron is moving non-uniformly, that is, it is accelerating. So in that case, what will happen is that there will be a time varying electric and time varying magnetic field, that is, fields which are changing with time. So this will generate EM wave. Time varying electric and magnetic fields generate EM wave. So charge, when it is at rest, only electric field is there. When it is moving, then electric and magnetic field both are there, but in uniform motion electric and magnetic fields are constant or uniform, and in non-uniform motion the electric and magnetic fields are varying with time, and because of that EM waves are generated. So in this particular chapter our focus will be on this part mostly. Now the first experiment was done by Oersted. So Oersted observed that whenever there was some electric current, so there was a magnetic field around that current carrying wire or current carrying conductor. So he discovered electromagnetism, that is, whenever we have electric current we will have magnetic field. Then in 1831 Faraday did the opposite. He observed that whenever we have magnetic field, then changing magnetic flux can produce electric field also. Okay, so now it was known, it is called electromagnetic induction. So now it was known that electric field can generate magnetic field and magnetic field can generate electric field, and this is our topic for this particular chapter, magnetic field generating electric fields. So this is very important because of this only we are able to create the electricity that we have. One politician asked Faraday one day that what is the use of your electromagnetic induction or your motor. Okay, he also discovered a motor using this phenomena of electromagnetic induction. So Faraday only said that you will be able to tax it one day. So now the complete economy of the countries are dependent on electricity. Without electricity we cannot imagine our life without the motors which or generators which create the electricity. So this Faraday's experiment is very simple. What it did is he took a container in which he took a magnet. So this is our magnet, and inside this magnet there is this coil of wire which is attached on these both ends, and there is a small, let's say, bulb. Obviously at that time bulb was not there, but whatever desired device, but we have bulbs now, so we can use bulb. So that, let's say, LED is there. So once you move this to and fro, this magnet inside, so there will be a flux change and it will create a current in the circuit and the bulb will glow. So this is quite simple. Another example is, let's say we have a magnet, let's say this is north pole, this is south pole, and there is a conducting wire. So when you move the magnet close or away from the wire, then there will be a current which will be generated in the coil. So this is electromagnetic induction. Whenever flux change, magnetic flux change, magnetic field change around a region, then electric current is generated. So the flux is in Gauss law, flux was given by electric flux was given by Q over epsilon naught and EA cos theta. Similarly here magnetic flux will be given by BA cos theta, just like electric flux. So magnetic flux is the, what is flux? Flux tells us about the flow of field lines in a region, in a certain region. So when we are discussing about the flow of field lines in a certain region, it is called the flux. So magnetic flux tells us about the magnetic field lines in a region. So whenever magnetic flux change, that is the density of the magnetic field lines or the intensity of the magnetic field lines change in a region, then electric current is generated. So Faraday gave his law to describe what is happening. So according to Michael Faraday, whenever there is a change in flux, then an induced EMF is generated, and that induced EMF is normal voltage. EMF is nothing special, it is the normal voltage, okay, voltage. So according to Faraday, the more the rate of change of flux, more will be the EMF that is induced, where n is the number of turns of the coil. Okay, let's say we have this coil, so n is the number of turns of the coil. Now we will discuss the minus sign afterwards, but for now keep in mind that more will be the change in flux, more will be the EMF generated. For example, more will be the speed of this motion, more flux will be quickly the flux will change and more current will be generated. Now this negative sign can be understood by the Lenz's law. So Lenz's law states that the induced EMF is generated in such a way that it opposes the cause of its production. That is, EMF will be in such a direction that it will oppose the reason behind its production. For example, this magnet is moving and let's say this magnet is moving towards the coil and it is producing the flux, it is inducing the EMF. So induced EMF will be in such a direction that it will oppose this motion. That is, induced EMF do not want to get generated, it will oppose this motion. Okay, so Lenz's law tells us that induced EMF is in such a direction that it will oppose the rate of change of flux. So that's why negative sign. Okay, for example, let's say we have this coil. Now we have this magnet which is moving towards the coil. So this coil will try to stop this coil from moving towards it. So how can you do that? So if you have south pole on this region, so this south poles will repel and this magnet will slow down. So this region will be a south pole, and it is observed that when the south pole is there, by clockwise rule, when south pole is there, clockwise motion is there, and when anti-clockwise current is there, then north pole is there. So there will be anti-clockwise current in this face of the wire. Obviously the face which is behind it, there will be north pole there and the current will be anti-clockwise over there. Let's say the magnet is moving away. So in this case the coil will try to not make the magnet move away. So it will try to attract this magnet, so there will be a south pole that is induced here. So current will be in anti-clockwise direction. So the direction of induced EMF or induced current will be decided by the reason behind the changing flux. So EMF will always oppose the changing flux. So electromagnetic induction means magnetic fields helps us in producing electric fields. So till now what we have studied, flux is given by BA cos theta, B is the magnetic field intensity, A is the area, theta is the angle between magnetic field intensity and area. Faraday's law tells us that change in flux produce EMF, and EMF is given by minus n d phi by dt, where minus sign is explained by the Lenz's law, which tells us that EMF always opposes the cause of its creation. Lenz's law is the reason behind Lenz's law is the conservation of energy, because let's say if this is if Lenz's law was not followed, let's say this is the south pole is moving towards it, and let's say north pole was created. So what will happen? You will not require to move this magnet. The magnet will itself move and it will create a current here. So it is not possible without giving any energy. How can you obtain any energy? So because of that, Lenz's law has to be there, which require us to give energy in order to obtain some current in the coil. Now let's move on to the concept of motional EMF. So let's say we have a coil which is fixed at three ends, and there is a fourth part which is movable. This fourth region is movable. This region is movable. So whenever we will move this rim over this remaining coil, so the amount of flux change, okay, amount of the field lines passing through will change, which will induce EMF and induce a current in the coil. So this is motional EMF. Because of the motion of the wire, we are obtaining the current in the wire. So according to motional EMF, the flux is given by BLX, where B is the magnetic field intensity. This X, remember, whenever the field is, whenever something is cross, it means it is going in, and whenever something is represented by dot, that is, it is coming out. So here the magnetic field is going inside, okay, magnetic field is going inside here. So what is happening is that this magnetic field is perpendicular inside the coil. This wire is moving like this and this, and flux is changing. So the flux is equal to BLX, magnetic field intensity, into length of this wire, this length, into X. X is the change in the position, okay. Now EMF is minus d phi by dt, that is minus d phi by dBLX by dt. So dx by dt is velocity. So EMF, induced EMF, motional EMF will be given by BLV, magnetic field intensity, length of the moving wire, and the velocity of the wire. So this is the motional EMF, and work done in motional EMF is given by this, because we know that voltage is work done over charge. So work done in motional EMF is given by this formula. So ultimately, one more thing, in order to find the direction of the force or current or magnetic field, we use the left hand rule. We will discuss about this afterwards. So remember, when we are discussing of electric field producing magnetic field, we will discuss about right hand rule, and when we are discussing about magnetic field produce electric field, we will be discussing about left hand rule. Now how can the flux change? So ultimately flux change and produce the EMF. So how can the flux change? Flux can change by changing the magnet, by changing the the strength of the magnet, by changing the size of the coil or number of turns of the coil, and by changing the size. So these three are the major ways to change the flux in any particular region. So EMF is given by d phi over dt. So from this, charge can also be given. Charge can be d phi over r, d phi over r. Now let's discuss about eddy currents. So eddy current is the opposition. Whenever the EMF is induced, then there is this opposition which tries to stop the EMF from getting produced. So let's say we have these two coils. So let's say we have these two magnets here, over here. Let's say north pole, south pole, and there is a metal sheet which is moving in between these magnets. So what will happen is that this metal sheet will eventually quickly stop, because this magnets will try to stop this coil, because when this coil is moving, then the EMF is changing and current is obtained in this. So once you make this move, after a while suddenly it will stop, because the magnets will oppose the induced EMF is oppose the change in the cause in the induced EMF will not try to produce itself, and it will oppose the cause of its production. So the cause of the production of the induced EMF is the motion of this coil. So the eddy currents or the opposition currents will be generated, induced EMF will be generated, which will oppose the motion of this coil, and the coil will stop. Okay, so eddy currents are the opposition currents which try to stop the EMF from its production. So now let's discuss about inductance. So before starting inductance, let's discuss the elements of a circuit. The circuit is a closed path in which the current can flow, charge can flow. So there are two elements in a circuit, active elements and passive elements. So active elements are the voltage sources, current sources which give off some energy, and passive elements are the elements which use the energy given by the active elements. For example, resistor, capacitor and inductor. These are the three main passive elements which use the energy given by the active elements. So resistor is resistor opposes the flow of charge, capacitor stores the charge and it opposes the change in the voltage, and inductance opposes the change in the flow of current. Okay, resistance opposes the flow of charge and it opposes the change in the flow of current or flow of charge. Okay, so let's say if we have a current in a wire, so if the value of this current is changing, then inductor will try to oppose that change. If the current is 10 ampere, then the inductor will try that the current remain 10 ampere, it does not change. Okay, so inductor is a device, or inductance is a property which does not allow the current to change. So for example, let's say initially let's say we are applying some alternating voltage. So initially the switch was open, the current was 0. As soon as the switch was closed, there will be some current. So suddenly the current will not become 10 ampere. Let's say the maximum current can be 10 ampere. So the current will suddenly not become 10 ampere. Let's say initially it will be 9 ampere, because this inductor will oppose the change, because initially current was 0, so suddenly it is becoming 10, so it will try to oppose it, so the current will not achieve its maximum value in an instant, so it will require some time, after which the net current will become 10 ampere. Okay, the current will become 10 ampere after a while. So initially the current was 0, then switch was closed, suddenly current will increase, but it will not achieve its maximum value instantaneously. It will require some time to achieve its achieve its maximum value. And after this stationary state is achieved, then the current will remain 10 ampere. But again, if you switch off the device, then suddenly current will not become 0 ampere. It will gradually decrease, because the inductor will not allow the current to decrease instantaneously. Now inductance can be of two types, self inductance and mutual inductance. So self inductance is the inductance produced in the self coil itself, and mutual inductance is the inductance which is generated in the different coil. So let's first discuss the self inductance. So let's say we have this coil here. Okay, now initially current was 0. After switch is closed at t equal to some 0 plus time has passed, so current will not achieve maximum value instantaneously. After some interval of time it will achieve its maximum value. Okay, so this inductor will have some flux change which will be given by Ba cos theta. Now magnetic field of this coil, this inductor is similar to a solenoid. So we know that the magnetic field for a solenoid is given by mu naught Ni. So at the place of B we have mu naught Ni, and area is A, and the angle between them is 0 degrees, so therefore cos 0 is 1, and area can be found out of this surface area of this cylinder wire can be founded by 2 pi RL, where N is the total number of turns per unit length. So once you solve this, you will obtain that the flux is given by this, and when you multiply by N you will obtain this. So ultimately this N phi B is L into I. Okay, and this complete term is called self inductance. So ultimately what we will have, we know that EMF is minus N d phi by dt, so N phi B can be replaced by Li, so EMF can be minus L di by dt. So just like in resistance we have V equal to IR, here we have V equal to minus L di by dt. So the inductance oppose the change in the current. More the change in the current, more inductance will be there. So ultimately if you further simplify it as discussed, L is this much. Okay, L is this quantity is L. So L is this much. So L depends on length of the wire, number of turns, and the area of the wire. More will be these things, more will be the inductance. Now the work done can also be obtained. Work done or potential energy will be Li square half. Just like in capacitance you studied that it is half CV square, in inductor it is half Li square. Okay, dW by dt is EMF into time, EMF into current. Okay, power is EMF, power is voltage into current. So at the place of EMF, LdI by dt, integrating this, so L will be a constant and I will be I square by 2. Now mutual induction. So let's say we have this coil here. So there is a change in the current in this coil which will produce a current in this secondary coil. So this is called mutual induction, when one coil is responsible for the generation of flux in another coil. So same things will be there, but in this situation we will have flux in the first coil which is changing and current will be obtained in the second coil. So flux in the first coil, current in the second coil, and this term is called the mutual induction coefficient, M12. And if you notice there will be let's say we are in, this is first coil, this is second coil. So let's say we are giving current to first coil, so this will be a primary coil and secondary coil will be second one, so M12. And let's say if we are giving current in the second coil, so then this will become, the second coil will become the primary coil and this first coil will become the secondary coil, and this will be M21, mutual induction in 2 due to 1 and mutual induction in 1 due to 2. So both of them are same, M21 and M12 are same. Whether you induce current from coil 1 or coil 2, it does not matter. So in self inductance we have this thing, in mutual induction we have this thing.